My name is Roger Ballen. I'm 71 years old. I live in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Roger Ballen, take one.
The picture's here, ultimately about Roger Ballen's mind. But if you walk out of here and these pictures start to worry you a little bit, or you start to remember them, or you dream about them, then they're your mind too, that they got into your mind. And that actually is the purpose of any artist in a way. I guess one of the purposes is to produce work that stays in other people's mind. So my pictures become part of your cage, whether you like it or not.
What would you be without the mind? Would you actually exist?
When I was a young man, I had all the answers. Then there was a lot of time when I thought I had some good questions. Now I don't really have the answers or questions in some profound way. On the other hand, I think and I know that my photographs provoke people's consciousness, or they get in people's head and they provoke them in some way or another. In a lot of cases, people say, "Oh, Mr. Ballen, those pictures are dark, they get me a little scared." A lot of people would say, "Oh, I feel so sorry for that. I'm sorry. Not Mr. Ballen here." That's a very good sign. If you see them dark, you see them scary, it makes you a bit nervous. That's a good sign that my pictures have something about them that's getting into people's minds. In a way, it reveals a state of repression. And if the pictures have an ability to open up people's minds to themselves, their own minds to their own minds, then the pictures have achieved some purpose for that person.
These pictures here are some of my well-known photographs. Most of the pictures here were taken between 1995 and 2002. During this time, nearly all my pictures were portraiture. So in every photograph I took, there was a face.
I take pictures initially to inspire myself, to answer certain issues I might have one way or another, and then hope these pictures have, I guess, some effect on people. And I guess the worst thing for an artist is if the work has no effect.
All the pictures in the whole show come from Johannesburg, South Africa. This man goes around catching cats. He catches cats, he steals cats, he takes cats from wherever he can find them. He puts the cats in a bag, and then he goes to downtown Johannesburg, where they have the witch doctors there, the people who make medicine out of animals. So they kill the cats, and then he gets paid for each cat he brings. So they found him and they put him in jail. So that's why he's a prisoner. You see, Room of the Prisoners.
I always had this commonality to people living on the edge, living on the people not necessarily part of the so-called middle class bourgeois. And so I was always attracted to these people and felt there was a sort of, I guess, an honesty in the way they fought and the way they lived in one way or another, and I always got along with these people very well. So I guess those are the type of people that I work with, and those are the type of places that I've frequented in South Africa since 1982.
So I'm sure somebody's going to ask me, do you know the people? About 10 minutes ago, Eugene just sent me a message. And what did the message say? I'll show it to you on the phone. It says, "I miss you, Uncle Roger." So don't ask me the question, do the people like you? Did I ask permission? Did I do this? Did I do that? All these people like me a lot. You don't take pictures like that if they don't like you.
When you start trying to figure out what's fact and fiction, you also get a bit confused. I mean, everything that you take with the camera has something to do with your choice. If I take a picture of you now, is that a fact or a fiction? Is it a fiction if I say, you know, put a cigarette in your mouth when you don't smoke? Is that fiction or is that fact? So the issue of fact and fiction is very confusing. And this is an important aspect of what I do. In a lot of my photographs, or most of them, especially after the year 2000, or maybe even slightly before, you're not quite clear. There's an enigmatic line between so-called fact and fiction. What is what is the other? And this is part of, I guess, the Balinese style.
I'll show you two pictures which show some transition. This was taken in 2004. Around this time, I started to not do portraiture anymore. And the pictures started to become more surrealistic. Objects started to become more part of my so-called Balinese aesthetic rather than portraiture. The big transition beginning in about 2002, 2003 was the introduction of drawing into the work.
The Balinese style represents a vision of absurdity, confusion, chaos, and the search for meaning in a very difficult, confusing, enigmatic world. So that might have something to do with the meaning of these pictures. They're very hard to actually put the pictures into one word or the other word. Sometimes the pictures mean opposites. And I've always said over the years, if you can easily define the work, it's a bad photograph. From a stylistic point of view, the pictures are very concise, very purified, very formally integrated. So you have the two opposites within the constraints of the photograph. On one side is the form, which is very precise, diamond-like. On the other side is the meaning of the Balinese, which is enigmatic, mysterious, and perhaps chaotic and disturbing on the other.
Always remember that all these pictures were taken so fast that they would freeze a bullet. That's how fast it is. It's the illusion of stillness. And one of the most important things in photography is to be able to catch these very moments that happen very quickly. It's not only catching the moment, it's linking this moment with this moment, with this moment, with this moment.
For me, it's very important that everything in the picture has a purpose. It's like everything in a body and everything in nature has a purpose. So I don't like being sloppy and having something in a picture that actually doesn't integrate with anything else. It's like putting a wooden arm on your arm and saying, well, this isn't my arm. It's not your arm. It's something else. It's foreign body. So everything in the picture should be like nature, integrated for purpose and not out of sync or out of purpose with everything else. And then you have an organic, formal relationship in the image itself. It doesn't mean just because there's a strong formal relationship in the picture that the picture's saying anything. So that's a big mistake to understand that. Just because you have things that work like this, well, what are you saying?
Okay, well, let's go to the next room. So now we have to go into rats. So rats first.
So I guess I'm an animal lover. But I guess what interests me is the relationship between the animal behavior, the primal animal behavior, and human behavior, where the two come together. You know, what's animalistic in the human condition. And my first degree was actually in psychology, and I liked studying animal behavior.
I spent about 5 years only photographing rats. The rat's probably the most intelligent animal on the planet for brain size. Most of these pictures were between 2013 and 2018. It was the last series I did with black and white film.
For me, this has always been a way of understanding humanity, and also I like to understand animals. I mean, you look at a dog. How is a dog thinking? So I'm always contemplating this, what is going on in the animal's mind. And like many of the things I talked about earlier, you'll never know.
This comes from the Asylum of the Birds series. And during this period, this was 2009 to 2014, every picture had a bird in it. And all these pictures were taken in this house in Johannesburg where the birds were allowed to fly. They didn't stay in cages. So I went to this place maybe 5 times a week for 5 years to make this project called Asylum of the Birds. Birds, birds, birds.
The locations I work in are unsafe, so one has to have a way with people to survive in this business. The Asylum of the Birds house is surrounded by squatter camps, mine dumps, and abandoned fields. When I arrive at the asylum and pass through the doors, I enter another universe. A world haunting and complex, bordering on dreams and reality. A place in which birds and other animals mingle with its human inhabitants.
I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. I think you're freaky and I like you a lot.
In 2012, I directed a music video called I Think You're Freaky with the band The Antwerp. Music videos are like 100 times bigger business than photo business. So a lot of people got introduced to my work through The Antwerp. And it had such a big impact on my career in so many ways that after every series that I did following I Think You're Freaky, I made a video. So we have Roger Ballin's Outland, Asylum of the Birds, Theater of Apparitions, Ballin' Roger the Rat. It motivated me to do other videos, and I'm busy working on a documentary of my life, and also I was the artistic director of a feature film that will be released shortly.
I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. I think you're freaky and I like you a lot. I think you're freaky and I like you.
The fundamental condition of any condition in the world of something living is that they're going to die. So I guess the challenge is to try to figure out what life's about, what you're here for, what you're going to do about it, and perhaps at the end of the day, as you get older, knowing that most of what you're trying to understand and contemplate isn't going to be answered.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming. Feel free to look again, look at the pictures if you'd like, and tell your friends, and thank you very much for your time and energy to come here during a Friday afternoon. Thank you.